Hello. Hi. How's everybody doing tonight? Let's say hi to people. Let me see who we got in here. Hey, Aries Pure. Hey, Diane Marie. Hey, S. Daniel. Hey, Jane Doe. Hey, S. Hockett. Hey, Charlie. Good to see you guys. Hey, Amelia Sparkles. Petunia, hello. Gregory. MK, hello. Recliner Detective. May. Good to see everybody. How's everyone doing tonight? Oh, thank you, Recliner Detective. Hey, Laura. Hi, Anna, Erica. Good to see everybody. Oh, no. Wait, I couldn't highlight it. Michigan has turned into an ice crystal. We're frozen. Oh, I'm very sorry about that. That is terrible. Hey, Vanessa. Good to see you. Well, y'all, did you guys watch today? No? Yes? What's up? Did y'all? I watched, of course. I watch every day. I watch the whole oh, thank you, Diane Marie. I'm super self-conscious of it. Hey, Mimi3. Hang on, my earbuds are twisted. Give me just a second. I gotta untwist them real quick. Okay. Yeah, I watched the whole thing. You know me. I'm glued to that trial like it is my full time. It's still twisted. Hold on. Hey, Teresa. Good to see you, babe. Sorry, you guys. All right. I watch that thing like it is my full time job. I mean, every minute of it. Then I watch all the analyzing of it. And yeah. Hey, Angela. Oh, goodness. No. I'm from Texas and we don't get like snow or anything. I mean, I live in Florida now, obviously, but I'm from Texas and what we get is sleet. So it just really, I mean, you get some snow in Texas every once in a while, but mainly it's sleet. And I have to say, not a fan at all. 10 out of 10 wouldn't recommend. Oh boy. Hey, Teresa, you want to come up or are you busy, babe? You're always welcome. You know that. I'll send you the link if you want. So anyway, I watched today and I was rather intrigued. I am I don't know how the jury is going to call it. I really don't. Oh, perfect. All right, let me send you the link real quick. Perfect. Yay. I love when I have Teresa up. She's one of my faves. So yeah, I watched today and I got to say I was a little surprised at the last person that testified, although I knew he was on the list. I was just kind of like, "Oh, okay, they're going to really put him up there. I wonder what he's going to say." And we're going to talk about what he had to say. Um and we're going to talk about the theory that the two the second I just clicked the wrong damn thing. The second uh, expert talked about today. So we're gonna mention it all, and then I wanted to let you guys know that it should come to no surprise to everybody. But you know what? The defense rested today. Okay. So, hey, Melmac. Hey, Sunset Gazing, a human being. Good to see you. Welcome. Come on in. Um, there we go. I finally clicked the right thing on the 87th try. Well played, Jen Lu. Nothing gets past you. Anyway, so this morning started off rather interesting. It started off um, with Jim. I mean, look, at this point, I feel like Jim and I are on a first name basis. Jim, you can call me Jen if you want to. I don't have any problem with that at all. But it started off with not Jim, but Mr. Harpootlian, the Poot, um, wanting to take a field trip. But the way that he asked was interesting because he said, if the jury wants to, and I don't know if they want to. And of course, the state was like, the poot wanted him polled. We could poll the jury. And the state said, no, we shan't be polling the jury. That is not how this goes. And no. And so, so the poot was like, well, then we're requesting to take a field trip. So the judge said he would think about it. And I kind of thought that Judge Newman was going to allow it, which he ended up at the end of the day. They're going to take a field trip. And I don't know. I don't think we will be there, only because I know media will be allowed. Okay. But I don't think it'll be allowed to be streamed because out of an abundance of caution to keep, the jury members, identities withheld. Hey, babe. Let me add Teresa.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Jen. Thanks for
Hi.
having me come up.
Anytime, babe. Every time. You know I love it.
I'm telling you, I think the defense had a good day today.
I actually have to agree. I have to agree. Listen, I am open to changing my mind. And as the days have gone on and evidence has been presented, I am not sure anymore. I'm not, well, let me say this. I'm not as sure as I was when I started. How about that?
I thought you were kind of 50-50 at first, and then you kind of leaned towards guilty, and now I think you're kind of leaning back.
Correct. I'm not so sure. I'm not. I'm having a very difficult time putting him holding both guns. Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. But I don't know anymore. And I am so effing glad that I'm not on that jury, because if I were on that jury, man, I would be like, listen, we're going to be here a while because I'm going to have to go through all the things again. Like, I need to hear it all. I need to see all of the things. Because
I think it's going to be a long deliberation.
I think it is too. But before we get started, let's have a word from our sponsor real quick before I forget.
And Kai, when you're on Jen Lou's channel, what do you do with the like button?
Smash, smash, smash! Yeah.
Favorite part.
I love that every time.
Yeah.
Smash it.
Yeah. Okay, so they're going to go on a field trip. They're going to go out to Moselle. And I just thought it was so cute when the poot got up there. We could poll the jury and see if they want to go, which obviously is not going to be allowed because that is a form of deliberation, and they can't deliberate on anything until, related to the trial. I mean, like jurors, not in Judge Newman's court, but other places, the jury will elect a foreman, but that's all the deliberating they're doing. And it's not related to any of the evidence in the case, but deciding whether or not to go on a field trip is a form of deliberation. So, today was just one of those crazy ass days. So I'm going to get us over to the YouTubes so we can talk about it and catch up on all the things that happened in court today.
Why do you think that Poot didn't just ask if they could go?
I think the Poot likes to be difficult, and I think he likes to fuck with Waters a little bit. I'm sorry, I do. I think he's petty like that, and I know this is wrong, and I shouldn't feel this way, but I cannot stop and hold back my unadulterated love for Dick Harpootlian. I can't. I just adore that little man. I just love his pettiness.
I really like it.
I can't help it.
So what do you think? What do you think like Caroline was just asking? She doesn't see the benefit of the field trip. I'm not really sure I do either, except for just seeing anything in person always puts a lot of things in perspective, and that's the only reason I can come up with. I don't know why the defense would technically want them to go. I think it's interesting that the prosecutor doesn't want them to go, though.
Hang on just a second. Thank you, Shamida. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. I like you. Did you say what Shamida did? She's so
I do.
sweet.
Congratulations.
She's so sweet. Thank you. Thank you. So, okay. Okay. I think what the reason the defense wants them to go is because I think that they want the jury to see how tight the quarters are between the kennels and the feed room. That area is not that big, right? And the feed room itself is not that big. But I think the thing they want the most is they want the jury to see how far away that how the house is from the kennels, so that it will lean more towards Alec could have been down at the kennels, gone back to the house, and missed hearing the gunshots. Honestly, that is what I think the intention is, to be quite honest, because otherwise, what would be the point, really? It's not the same. It doesn't look the same. And it's going to be kind of a hassle because apparently this weekend, according to the Poot, and let me just say this, the Poot ain't pleased. He was very upset, and I don't blame him. It's kind of weird, but he let them know that John Marvin had to call the sheriff's department over the weekend because people were out there taking selfies by the kennel, which he said he's never seen anything like so tasteless in all his life. Well, I hate to break it to you, Poot, but I have been down to where JFK was shot. I mean, it's Dallas. And there is an X in the middle of the road. And
there is. I have pictures of myself on it.
Yeah, and people take pictures on it every single day.
But it's public.
It is public. I didn't because, I'm extremely superstitious. And I just was like, no, I feel like I'm going to catch some bad juju doing this. And so much to the point that my dad, who is equally superstitious, was like, you're being, you're being ridiculous. And then I started saying, Dad, what would Nana say? Like his mom. And he was like, he's like, your Nana would say, what the hell are you doing? She would agree with you. I said, so there you go.
Well, I have pictures on it.
I have pictures.
That might explain a lot about my life.
Maybe. I don't, I'm just really superstitious that way. I'm weird about stuff like that. I'm a weirdo. I can't help it.
I went to Kaylee Anthony's spot that she was found too.
Did you?
Yeah.
I've thought about it. It's not that far from me. It's probably, I don't know, maybe like an hour and a half or so. Maybe not even that. But I don't know if I can do it. I don't know.
It was very interesting because, and this is why I brought up the point about perspective. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I've actually talked with Alex Erickson about, I'm like, one day I'm going to fly out there and we're just going to literally drive everywhere we can to go see all these different places. Because when you're in it, you get like a certain kind of feeling. So this is what I'm thinking is like what they're hoping for with the defense. Like you get this, I don't know, it's surreal to be standing in these spots. And mm-hmm. then in perspective, because like with Kaylee Anthony, they tell you how far away from the road she was, but when you're standing there and you actually see the spot she was found, it's like right there. I mean, like you feel like you could just reach out and touch it.
Wow.
So it's crazy just like seeing pictures versus actually standing there. And I can imagine that's how it is at the kennels.
Yeah, because I would imagine. Are you feeling okay, baby? You sound a little
no, I'm stupid sick. I'm actually feeling better. Yeah, I came back from vacation and got sick, so. And then two
because of the cold.
Kids are sick too. Yeah, it's just dumb. No. But I actually feel better today.
Okay, good.
And I got the stupid snuff. I can't even speak. Stuffy nose.
Oh, bless your heart. Yeah, see, I don't know if I could do it. Like, I have to say that I have always wanted to visit Weaver Elementary because Steve and Chris and Michael's memorial is there at the Weaver Elementary, but I only want to go to the pipe bridge because I want to understand it. I've heard that it's very different when you see it in real life versus when you see it in pictures. And but even that kind of creeps me out. And because I just feel like that was their grave, not the pipe bridge, but there's the creek over on the other side of it. And I just don't know if
Right.
I can do it, but I do feel like going to their memorial at Weaver Elementary would be a good thing. And speaking of that, so May 5th is coming up. And every year I ask my subscribers to turn their porch light on from, all day and all night in memory of Christopher, Stevie, and Michael. But I think this year I'm going to ask everybody to do that again. But I'm going to see about donating to the Weaver Elementary Library. I'm going to look into that. So that's something that I've been thinking about doing because I just feel like I need to do something to give back. And, that's the case that had my whole soul first. And I think I'm going to do that frequently, do like a live stream for a week or whatever, where I just have a specific charity and it will not go to me in any way, shape, or form. However I do it, I know that YouTube has a way to do it where you enable it on your stream and the creator doesn't see any of the money. They have nothing to do with it. It goes straight to the charity. And that's the only way that I would do it. And I would want to do it. So yeah.
I didn't know that you could do that. That's good to know.
Yeah. So I really want to do that. And then I have another announcement. This might be a little premature, but oh well. So the defense rested, and there's going to be a rebuttal, and then the field trip, and then it's going to be closing arguments. Well, Truth Teller and I have decided to split the closing arguments. So I'm going to cover the prosecution's closing arguments, and then she's going to cover the defense, because my unabiding love for the poop would make me biased. And so I don't think it would be good for me to do. I just adore him, and I just don't think it'd be a good idea.
You're doing the prosecution?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to cover the prosecution, and then I'm going to well, see, this is my thing. I do think that Alec is involved. What I'm not convinced about yet is that he's the only person involved. I think that he had help, but I cannot quite wrap my brain around what level of help he had. I have always suspected that the reason he picked Cousin Eddie to do the roadside shooting is because he was going to, if Eddie didn't miss and his story had not have fallen apart, I think he was going to hang it all three murders on, well, both Paul and Maggie's murder and then the attempt on his life on Cousin Eddie. And I really think he was going to say that, it was out of anger because Alec was trying to get himself cleaned up and not use pills anymore. So he was going to come up with some kind of cockamamie ass bullshit story, but that's what I really think. And I don't know. You don't think he had any help?
I'm not convinced that he had anything to do with that.
Oh, see, I'm not there.
I know you're not. I know you're not. I'm there's a couple things that hold me back from going all the way there. But I think for me, it's things like how many people go, I don't think he was involved at all, to how many people think, I know that he was involved, but I don't think he pulled the trigger, to I think he did it himself. And if you took 12 of those people, you're not going to get a guilty verdict out of it. That's where I keep getting stuck, because nobody agrees on whether he did it himself or whether he had somebody else do it or whether he wasn't involved. I'm at the
Yeah.
point where I'm not sold that he was involved. I know that upsets people, and I trust me, I get it. I've been on that side on other cases. I totally
Mhm.
understand that it frustrates people. I'm just not there.
Well, I get it. Let me give you guys truth tellers. Let me give you her channel, and let me give you Teresa's channel too. Let me give you criminality too. Yeah, I'm not 100%. Now, I will say this: I was not 100% sold on what the um, first witness said, the forensic pathologist. Now, I think that he is completely and perfectly qualified. Obviously, I mean, he's been doing it an incredibly long time. He knows what he's doing. He's worked for the GBI, and when he was listing off all the like counties and stuff that he handles and stuff, he's well qualified. But I just don't think that his opinion respective to the whole entry wound at Paul's head, the one that Harpootlian was trying to get the uh, the doctor Reamer who performed the autopsies to say. I just was not convinced that. I don't think that it's I don't think it's the entry wound. I think that Dr. Reamer called it correctly. Of course, now I haven't seen the autopsy photos. It's just that would be an egregious error. Um, I just don't feel like she would make that big of a mistake. And also, I was not moved by his testimony about how, for lack of a better word, messy the person who did this would be. Because, to be quite frank, there was a hose out there, and I mean, it is what it is. So, and the other part of it, frankly, is the fact that honestly, I don't think that we are ever going to know what exactly happened with any level of tons of certainty, only because they gave, in my opinion, and I've said this like 11 billion times, and I'm kind of tired of saying it. So maybe this might be the last time until the next time. But I feel like they gave Murdaugh and his friends, preferential treatment to the detriment of this case. I think there would be a lot more evidence if the crime scene had not been, uh, uh, for lack of a better word, like contaminated with everybody being out there, So
Well, I 100%
just,
agree, and I think that is to the detriment of both sides, because I think it could
mhm,
have easily proven somebody else did it or that he did it. And there was literally, and I know you've watched all the body cams that they have released from this
mhm,
trial, and there are so many people there that it's unnecessary. There's so many people touching things that it's unnecessary. And it's not even, and I know that people put a lot on SLED, which I think that they did a lot wrong later too, but this is part of your first responders. And the first
mhm,
responders typically go in, they make a mess because they're going into the crime scene to see if somebody's there. We talked about this with Idaho 4 too. They
mhm.
go in to see if there's somebody that can be saved or anything like that. And then they basically back out of the crime scene if there's nothing else that they can do. And these people were obviously deceased. There was no
Correct.
reason for them to be walking around this crime scene. And then one of the detectives has them like rope off the crime scene with crime scene tape, and then he says, "Don't go over there because there's evidence over there that I don't want anybody messing with." And that's outside the crime scene tape. It's a disaster.
It was
And
a
so,
disaster. And the thing of it is, like, I think that the first, not, I mean, the fire and rescue, I mean, I think they left relatively quickly, but
they
the
did, but it was the
Colleton
rest of
County,
the crew.
right, Colleton County Sheriff's Department is who arrived first as far as law enforcement goes. And they requested SLED. So then SLED comes and they do their thing, and the
At
people
that
that
moment, they should have left the crime scene.
correct, and what they what they should have done is leave and make everybody else leave too. In fact, if they were going to call if they were going to call SLED in, which I cannot imagine what circumstances would negate them calling SLED, it's clear that they were going to need help on this one. And so what they should have done is stopped anybody from coming up that driveway, period. They should have had somebody down there at the both entrances, the way to the kennels and the way at, with the two brick thingies or whatever that they call that. It doesn't look like that now, but right there, and not allowed anybody else into the scene until SLED got there. And I think had that happened, I don't think that there would have been people putting pots and pans away in the kitchen. I don't think that there would have been a lot of things that were done. I don't think Blanca would have been allowed in to clean the next day. I was curious about John Marvin, because when I listened to him today, I said after the day ended that it's I know he's not a lawyer, but he would have made a damn good one. He answers questions just exactly like his brother does.
Which I think was the point.
Right. And I think that Laura is correct too. I don't understand why the defense witnesses didn't write a report. Hey,
You know
Brittany,
why?
good to see you, babe.
You know why they didn't. Is Britt
I
here?
know.
Hi, Britt. Hi, NorCal Jim. They didn't write a report because if they actually write a report, the report is what has to be turned over to the prosecution.
I know.
So they did not, they purposely did not ask any of their expert witnesses to write a report because they did not want the prosecution having access to the information.
I know, and that's in
And
my
I wouldn't
opinion.
either. Because they twist everything.
Well, that's their job. I mean,
it's both their jobs, but that's why my issue is if this was so cut and dry and this man did it, there would be no reason for the prosecution to have to go up there and say things that are inaccurate. And they've done it multiple times. That's actually what I've been working on today, is an entire list of all the things the prosecution says that are not true. They're inaccurate. He doesn't say he went to sleep for an hour. He says he went and laid down for 25 to 30 minutes. But Waters wants to make sure that everybody thinks that he said he went home and went to sleep for an hour. That's not what he said. Or the whole reason I sent you that screenshot yesterday of the Paul thing.
Right.
Was because you're like, that's the first time you've ever called him that. You'd never call him that. Da 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 da. And so now everybody, look at social media, look at the mainstream media. Everybody's sitting there saying, oh, he made this up for trial. He's got this cute nickname for him for trial. And it's like, obviously not. He was saved in his phone as Paul.
Right. But to your point, what Waters actually said was, have you ever called him that during any of the statements that you gave to officers?
Today in court?
And the truth of the matter is, Waters is correct. He didn't. And that's, I never thought that he made it up for the court, I don't think he made it up out of whole cloth. I do think, I thought that was likely a nickname. What I thought was interesting is that he never referred to Paul that way during any of his interviews with SLED or anybody else. That's what I thought was interesting.
Well, I think that's what he was going towards, but he also says, like, this is the first time we're ever hearing this, like, kind of thing. And it's like, well, yeah, the first time you're hearing it, he doesn't talk to you, Mr. Waters.
Right, exactly. I just felt like he used it in such a way that it was to humanize. He did it. I mean, he did what you're supposed to do. Hey, Mrs. O, he did what you're supposed to. He humanized himself. That's the whole reason why he was testifying, was he wanted the jury to see him as a human being and not a monster. And he did it. And but it was, I think that, Alec, one of the problems about criminal court versus civil court is civil court, it's a fine line. But in criminal court, when you are over dramatic that's when people are like, now you're coming across as disingenuous. He needed to dial it back. A few references of him as Paul and Bus, Mags,
Well, he
Row.
overplayed that hand. By
Yeah,
no means am I going to
absolutely.
disagree.
It was
But
too
it's
far.
my point is that if the prosecution has to twist the narrative and continue to try to twist it, that doesn't make sense to me. You don't get things to be both ways. So
No, you don't.
So here's another example.
Okay.
Without answering, Jen, when did Alec take a shower? I want the chat. When did Alec take a shower? Like, this would be an example of this.
Guess y'all didn't know you were coming for a pop quiz.
No,
I'm serious. I'm
genuinely
curious about this answer too. I want to know what I want to see what the chat says. All right, so S. Hockett says before the kennel.
When he went home from the
C-Star
kennels.
says when he went home from the kennels. Yeah, okay.
After the kennel.
After the field with Paul. After the kennel.
Immediately after he shot him. After the kennel. How many answers we got so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's
6.
coming in faster on YouTube. So let's see. But let's see. Okay, we got after Phil with Paul, after the kennel, after the tree, after he got done riding around with Paul looking at trees, after he hosed down, after he and Paul rode around the property, after the kennel, before dinner, when he got home from work, before the kennels. Curious Cat says it's not been made clear. After the kennel, before kennel, after the kennel, hosed off at the kennels. All right, what's the answer, Teresa?
Well, there is no answer. I think the Curious Cat says it the best. It was not made clear. My point of this is, you have a chat of how many people just answered? 20, and they can't give you the same answer.
No.
Why is that? If they have this timeline that's so tight, right? It's so tight that they have him driving back to the house 2 minutes, right? Okay, so he even gives him, okay, as soon as you take the chicken out of Bubba's mouth, you hop on the golf cart, you go back to the house, you have 2 minutes, right? Now, then he says, well, what are you doing? You've been running around. You were running around for 283 steps. What were you doing? You didn't have to take a shower because you'd already taken a shower.
Correct.
So what were you doing? Were you doing push-ups, or what does he say? Jumping jacks? He says
jumping jacks on the treadmill.
But my point to that is, why do people in the chat still think that he went back and took a shower if they say that you can't explain the 283 steps? And who showers with their phone? I mean, I know some people do, don't get me wrong, but my point is that nobody in the chat can answer a simple question of when this man went and took a shower. So if the timeline is too tight for him to be able to do this and leave, how did he take a shower?
Well, yeah, I mean, I see your point, but I think that the question is on its face a little confusing, because there are a lot of people who think when you say, when did Alec take a shower? I think we should have asked it in a better way. And this is my fault. We should have said, when does Alec say he took a shower? The first, because I think a lot of people
think when the prosecution says he took a shower, because
there we go. When does the prosecution say Alec took a shower? And the reason why I think we're getting some of the answers that we're getting is only because there are people that think that Alec took 2 showers. And I have to say that John Marvin did not help his brother in that area today during his testimony, because he said he looked like he had just showered. Something to that effect. Don't quote me on that, but he did say, I could tell that he had showered.
Okay, so let me go back to my whole point here.
Yes.
One, we don't know that, right? So we're talking about
Right.
this tight timeline where he's now moving around the house. We know the phone is most likely back at the house. I think everybody pretty much agrees on that, right? We know his phone is at the house. If anybody thinks differently, let me know. So his phone is at the house. So now he has this tight timeline that, you know, he's hosed off down there. Remember, he has to now put the hose away. And it's not a giant mess. Yeah, it's not like all perfect like caretaker guy says it was, but he has to put the hose away. He has to put multiple dogs away because the dogs are in different locations than what the caretaker says he left the dogs in. So now he has to put multiple dogs away. So he hoses off. He rolls up the hose. He puts the dogs away. He gets in his golf cart. Takes him 2 minutes to get back there. And he takes a shower now. According to some. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can't fit all these things in the timeline and say that he did it.
Well, see, this is my thing about the dogs. How have we established, why is it that Alec is the one that has to put them away? Isn't
Because
it
they're dead.
conceivable? Wait a minute, though. Is it not conceivable that they were out, that they were in the process of putting them back when Bubba got the chicken, which is why they're in different spots. So the only dog that had to be put back was Bubba. So only had one dog to put away. Because he does not talk about when he's going through the list of things in his testimony. Okay, hold on.
Hold on. Because what the caretaker says is that Grady's in the first kennel. Bubba is in the next kennel. Grady's a black lab. Bubba is a yellow lab.
Yes.
And he's in the second kennel. Maggie is a yellow lab, and she's in the third kennel. But in body cam footage, we know that Bubba is in the first kennel. We know that Maggie is in the second kennel, and Grady is in the third kennel.
Right. So what I'm saying is, could it not be that there's not, so when Alec testifies, and this isn't, I mean, listen, he's only required to answer the questions that the prosecution asks him. So,
but the caretaker says that this was the way Maggie wanted the dogs. And Maggie would have put the dogs away this way. This is how Maggie had the dogs. This is how Maggie wanted the dogs.
But when
because she didn't like Maggie and Grady to be next to each other.
But when we're hearing the video, okay, I don't hear dogs out. I don't hear like, they all sound like they're in the kennels. Now, are they in the right spots? I don't know. But I think that it's very conceivable that Bubba is the only one that was out. And why they got put back wrong, I don't know.
So that's one of my whole point, though, is that Bubba can't be the only one out, because if Bubba was the one out, he wouldn't have been he was the only one out. The other dogs, if Maggie had put them away, they would have been put back in the kennels they belonged in.
What I'm saying, no, babe, what I'm saying, I see what you're saying. So I'm saying that it's possible that that Maggie and Alec put them back, and that
they had to be out for them to go back and be put into the wrong ones by somebody like Alex, who he says did not care what kennel they went into, but Maggie was particular about it. So Bubba couldn't have been put in last because the other dogs were already in the wrong spot. Maggie's in two.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
So all three of those dogs are in the wrong spot. They had to all three have been out and put away by somebody who did not have any organization at the kennels, which, according to caretaker guy, is Alec.
Would it be, or Paul?
But Maggie was
down there too, right? But maybe Maggie just let it go for the night. Maybe she just didn't want to fucking fight. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm just saying.
No, I know. I mean, I get your point. No, I agree with you. It's very, very tight. And this is another question. This is a good question, one that we don't know. Who turns the hose on during that video? Nobody asked that question. Nobody, and of course, the defense is not going to ask that question, right? That would be stupid, because they've already got their client up there admitting that he lied, and that's problematic. But see, this is my issue with Mr. Waters. And listen, I like him too. Not like I like the Poot. I like him for a different reason. He's very passionate. But my problem is with him in this trial is that it seems very personal to him. And I think personally, and I hope to God that he is watching our channels and listening to what we're not, I mean like all of the YouTubes, because it's like this on everywhere. YouTube, and that's a good gauge of likely what the jury is thinking, because most of us are regular, average, everyday folks who would be sitting for jury duty. And I really hope that he really needs to go back and like clean up some of this stuff. And he only had the one shot with Alec on the stand, and unfortunately that ship has sailed. But I want to know who turned the hose on. Why was it on? What was going on? I mean, it's a very, Bubba had a chicken, but Bubba didn't kill the chicken. So now we know that the hose couldn't have been on to wash away any blood from a dead chicken, because the chicken wasn't dead. Bubba, that's a chicken. We know that. So what was the hose doing on?
Hi, ATS.
Hey, ATS.
Okay, so like 4 people in chat now have said he lured them there. This is another issue I have.
Okay.
I don't have any proof that he lured them there. Paul was going because of the sunflowers. Maggie was going because she was worried about Alex. There's nothing in any of this court stuff that says that either one were lured there.
That either one were what, babe?
That were lured to Moselle to, like, so he could do this. Like, it was premeditated and they were lured there.
Yeah, I don't like to, I would disagree with the term lured. I think that, I'm going to be real honest. I think that Maggie was, I think that to say that they were sort of estranged is probably accurate. But estranged doesn't necessarily mean that they were fixing to get divorced. Sometimes when you've been married for a real, real long time and you've gone through some things, hey, LFT, sometimes it's okay to have some space. And when you have money and you can have 2 different places, you know, that's all the better. But sometimes marriages require space. So I don't find anything like horrible, like nothing is suspicious to me about that. I don't like the term lured. I think that manipulated, I don't think he manipulated Paul. Paul intended to be out there. That wasn't an issue. What I do think is that Alec wanted Maggie with him. And I think that he used the situation with his father being in the hospital and being worried about him, and potentially whatever was going on with Paul and his feet being swollen and whatnot. I do think he manipulated Maggie. I think he gave her a guilt trip. I think what she intended to do was drop the dogs off, go run her errands, pick the dogs up, and take her ass back to the beach house. That's what I think Maggie's plans were. But I do think that he like guilt tripped her into potentially staying the night. That's what I think. I don't care for the word lured. I think it makes it a lot more salacious than what it really was. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like Alexander said, there's testimony that Maggie didn't want to go to Moselle that night, but was talked into going, as Murdaugh claimed he needed, because of his father being in the hospital. I see why you're saying that, but to me that still changes. That lured is, he didn't lure anybody there. He asked his wife to come home because his dad was in the hospital. If my husband asked me to be home because his dad's in the hospital, I would not in any way, shape, or form think I was being lured. And then so that sets up this whole like premeditated thing that is inaccurate. He asked his wife to come home. Is a big difference between he lured his wife to come home. Like, did he like promise her diamonds and pearls? Like, I don't.
No, but I mean, they weren't staying at the house together. They were not staying at the same houses.
She stayed there the night before, and she left her dogs there that morning. And to your point that she was going to go run errands and come back and get her dogs, she went to Edisto. Her errands were in Edisto.
Right, but I don't think she wanted to leave the dogs at Edisto at the beach house with the renovations going on. I think she wanted, to have, and then there were, and yes, that's right. My 3 sons made an excellent point. There was the ball game over the weekend. See, we're forgetting this was on a Monday.
Right.
So they had been out there because they were all together over the ball game. They were all at the ball game together. And that's what I think. I really think that she, came to Moselle Sunday night, got up Sunday morning with the intention of running her errands and picking the dogs up and taking them back and staying the night back at the beach house in Edisto. And I think that Alec gave her a guilt trip, because otherwise, if the they were not going to go. Alec has said repeatedly that he never had intentions of going to see his dad that night on June 7th, that it was going to be like all the family going on the following day, which was Tuesday, June 8th. So Maggie didn't need to stay the night there for them to go to the hospital the next day in Savannah. That was ridiculous. I do think it was a manipulation. And I think that's why she thought it was weird. And I do think that's why her hair was up. Do I think that she thought he was going to do what he did? Absolutely not. Because I don't think that if Maggie had 1% of a hint that he was going to do that, would she go out there? Nor would she allow Paul to be there, period. Whether she was close to Paul or not.
I agree. And I won't disagree that he probably guilted her, and she was already worried about him and knew how he struggled with it to begin with. I have no doubt about that. But I do take concern with the lured part, because it feeds into this premeditation that he tried to get them both out there to do this. And I don't agree with that. I don't think he did.
Well, this is what I'll say about that. I think that you're right, that using the term lured implies a longer, well, not longer, how should I put this? The layman's, what most people tend to think of as when they think of premeditation, an actual plan, not the legal definition of premeditation, because the legal definition of premeditation is the second anybody, whether it was Alec or anybody else, but for this case, we'll say Alec because he's the defendant. But the second that Alec picked up a loaded firearm and pointed it, that was prematation right there. The law doesn't have the legal definition, but I agree with you. I think that people will hear the word lured, and it implies a level of planning, which, yeah, we do. We need to do like some kind of big ass collaboration, all of us, where we break down this timeline into bite-sized pieces for people. I know you're working on it, but I think I think the timeline would be great as far as what the phone show and the all the other, like the GPS and stuff. But I also think that what is important is to lay out the things that Alex said, starting with the first interview with SLED, the second and the third interview with SLED, and then the testimony, because there are a ton of contradictions in what Alex, and I'm not even, the kennel aside, other things. There are other things that are not the same version as when he, gave his interviews to SLED. So, but I did want to show this and get your thoughts on this. Okay. Are you ready?
Sorry.
All right.
I totally sidetracked.
No, babe, this is what I wanted us to do. I wanted us to talk about this, but this is a quickie. And so I wanted to get your thoughts on this, what the pathologist said. I just don't think, I don't know. Here, I'm just
his head. Unless I got it wrong.
Well, I think she has it reversed. And the reason is, now that you've seen where all the pressure would go,
you're kind of choppy, Jen. I don't know if it's just me or
have no stippling on the skin.
It's choppy.
And it do a less.
I don't know what is going on. It's been doing this at this time of night for some reason. I don't know what is happening. Let me see if that's better. Excuse me. Hold on. Let me choke real quick.
Hi, Mallory.
Of the chin, or over here at the angle of the mandible, the jaw, we've lost a lot of energy. And so, yes, you can get some pellets still going up into the head. You're not going to have the top of the head completely blown off. And if you look at the photograph.
Is that better? Is that better?
Unfortunately, no.
Hold on. Well, let's just keep talking, and I will try to figure it out.
Okay, NorCal Jim says it is better, so keep going. Let's see.
Okay, all right.
Graph here, you can see over and goes around because the top of our skull's there. If you look here,
Nope.
it's flat. He's missing the
Still
top.
choppy.
Not a 3 feet or further coming in on the left side.
And the wound on his shoulder, let's look at that real quick. Shoulder, please. That's a pretty.
Hold on. I don't know why it's doing this. Let me do something. Let me see this over here. It's probably because it's peak time. I'm going to turn the quality down because that's not the point of all of this. We don't need to see. I mean, he's not doing anything, and we'll see if that helps. All right, let me see this.
Big wound, is it not?
It is, and there's pellets that are going down into the tissue.
What is the evidence of that?
Well, there's photographs that are taken looking down into the wound, and you can see pellets there, and there are x-rays that are taken that you can see there's pellets down into the left shoulder.
If you go to Defendant's Exhibit 162. Step down here, please. Your Honor, step down. Thank you.
That seemed to work, yeah.
The individual pellets.
Oh, well, this is probably the easiest one to see.
There it goes.
Round and silver. I'm going to have to come around for a moment. I'm sorry. There's one here. There's one here. It's not projecting well, but I know that I saw a few down here, but then on x-ray, it'll become more.
Okay, we'll do this. Let's
Okay.
put the x-ray.
All right, good.
Which one of these you want to start?
We can do this
Okay.
since we're talking.
Hold on 1 second. Any objections? Your Honor, I would offer into evidence Defense Exhibit 112 and ask it be put under seal.
I submit it.
All right. Tell us what exhibit you got. You have that? 112?
Hey, Ashton. Good to see you. This is why I have to have it at 1.5. Because God knows what they're over there doing.
Oh, yeah.
Monkeying around with paperwork. Harpoolian, you over there doing origami?
No, this is 112. It's going to take some time. Let's just put it on the envelope, go from there. You're interested in serious.
Hi, Stevie Cal. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Karen. Hi, everybody.
Okay, tell the jury, please, what we're looking at here.
Sure. So any case that comes to a medical examiner's office that has any type of penetrating injury, the medical examiner will do x-rays to see if there's anything left in the body, and then also for safety reasons. But what we're looking at here is this is the spine. These are the ribs. So we're looking at the chest,
Hey, Mallory. I don't
the
know if I
left
said
shoulder,
hi, but
because we're
hi.
coming out here to the left arm. And all of these dots are the pellets from the shotgun wounds. And what we can see here is that these pellets are coming down all the way. So this is the first rib right here. First rib is about right here. So we have pellets all the way down to this level.
Is that consistent or inconsistent with a shot being fired from his left, apparently going upward to the right?
That wouldn't be consistent. And the reason being is then it would have to, the pellets would have to go up, curve, and come down, while the rest of them are continuing this way.
Okay. So could I have this one next?
Sure.
Okay. Defense Exhibit 111. I can do Elmo.
I really wish that Alec would get his shit together because, look, I get what happened is sad and it's tragic and it's awful and it must be horrible seeing those pictures, but he's not seeing those pictures and he does
The left side
not
of
have
the
to
body. The
go
R stands for right.
so
the X-ray is being
extra
taken like this. Right
every
side,
single
this is the
time
left.
any of
Okay,
this
so
stuff
if
is
you pull up
mentioned.
the lower, all right
Welcome,
corner.
Caroline. Thank you very much. Welcome to the
Now, what is this
Cuckoos.
depict?
So this is showing here on the left side of the jaw. And we see all of these pellets that are here. So the jaw is right here. And you can see these pellets are in the left side of the jaw, in the neck, and they're going down into the upper left chest.
So, and you believe the directionality on these is down?
Well, from the totality of the evidence, I believe, yes, they're downwards.
Okay. And,
but this x-ray has other findings, I think, that are important for that opinion.
okay.
And I mean, you can see
thank
the
you,
severity of the
Valerie.
fractures
I appreciate
of the skull.
that.
The skull should,
I'm glad I'm keeping you sane. I'm about to lose my whole mind.
the severity of the skull should obviously come all the way around, right?
Mhm.
There's no skull here. That's probably the area where the shotgun was pressed against the head. And we've got all of these fractures. In medical terms, we call it multiple comminuted fractures. This is, I mean, textbook for a contact range shotgun wound to the head, to the top of the head. Nothing.
And, okay, so in your opinion, if it had happened the way
Hey,
Dr. Weimer
Liz,
said,
good to see you. Thank you very much.
you would not have the directionality of those pellets in the shoulder down,
Correct.
and you would not have that kind of devastation to the skull. Wouldn't be enough energy.
That's correct. You have the top of the skull.
So, explain, not being a hunter, how does the gas?
Claire, good
You
to
got
see
gas
you.
coming first, pellets coming second, right?
Yes, sir.
So how do you get the gas going in and the pellets continuing on?
Well, the pellets are projected by the gas causing pressure to push out the shot and then the pellets within it. So, think about a rocket that's going up into space, right? So you see all of the cloud underneath the rocket, and the rocket will continue going up, but the cloud goes out because that's the area of least resistance. But the rocket will still continue. So that's pretty much the same mechanism. The shot cup is going to be pushed out. The energy from all of that gas needs to go somewhere. And when it's being pressed up against a firm surface like the skull, that pressure is going to build up. It's going to go through the hole that's caused by the entrance wound, and it's got nowhere else to go. So it is, and of course this is all happening in milliseconds, but all of that gas is, and the least resistance is right here now. So it's going to call that area.
Okay. Lolo, is that path? So remember when the Poot was talking with Dr. Reamer, and the way that she describes it is that it entered, so I guess like near his shoulder, went up his neck, and then sort of up his, back of his head. The pellets did, right? Am I getting that right, Teresa? I think that's what he's trying. That's what the state's pathologist testified to, that the exit wound was the top of the head, right?
This one right here, I think they're just talking about
the original lady, Dr. Reamer, the original pathologist.
Yeah, so she says it went through the side of the neck into like almost the chin, where his face was kind of turned down towards the left, and then it goes up into his brain and expels the brain.
Okay. And he is saying that that she has the entry and the exit reversed. That the entry,
that shot, yes,
was the top of the head, and
correct,
the exit was the neck area. But the problem is, and listen, it's very difficult because we don't get to see these pictures. Okay.
Right.
But I think if there was a contact wound at the top of the head with a 12 gauge shotgun, that would mean that the barrel had to be within, what did they say?
1 to 3 feet.
1 to 3 feet. Okay. I think that there would have been more, trigger warning. I think that there would have been, the brain would not have been in a large portion with a little bit of smaller portions around. I think it would have been a lot of small portions. That's what I think. I don't think that because what the doctor is saying, the original pathologist is saying, is that the pellets fractured his skull, and the pressure sort of built up from that force of the pellets fracturing the skull. And that is what expelled part of his brain outside of the skull. That's, and so well, oh yeah, that's exactly, that's what you just, that's the point. You're right. Correct, Alexandra. See, now Alec has ruined me from saying the name Alex or Alexandra. So, and
Alexandra, Alec.
yes. Well, to be fair, everybody that testified at this hearing on either side is a paid expert. SLED gets paid for their work. The pathologist, the forensic pathologist, the medical examiner who performed the autopsies is paid. They're all paid. It's just that there is a sort of a negative connotation when you are asking an outside, and to have another review. But to be honest with you, this happens lots of times when there isn't a crime committed. There are times when there are lawsuits and they have medical examiners review the original autopsy or medical records, stuff like that. So it does have sort of a negative connotation in this sense. But look, this guy is going to make upwards of 10 grand for his test. For his,
in fairness, that's because they kept him there all weekend.
Well, yeah, but still,
But so the one thing that
lot.
typically happens in most trials, and as you know, because you watch a lot of them, typically the defense and the prosecution will constantly ask all the experts how much they were paid.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
But both experts on both sides are paid. So don't be confused on the fact that only the defenses actually said they're paid. All experts are paid.
Correct. The doctor that did the with all the protractor and the angles and geometry, trigonometry, and all that stuff, and I cannot remember his name, but I loved him. He's adorable, and his little accent is so cute. And he's extremely smart. He's probably going to be one of the witnesses that they call for rebuttal, but he's paid.
He's also paid. Yep.
He's paid. Everybody that testified,
they're all paid.
Sides are paid.
It just seems irrelevant because literally they're all paid.
Exactly. So, all of everybody is paid. So now, okay, then.
So I'll tell you just from the, and one of my least favorite topics in school was anything to do with guns. So I by no means am I any form of expert on guns, but what I can tell you is that we talked about this in one of the classes was, how it's common, and the most common is that it would be the way that the first lady talked about it, that it comes in through the neck up and then explodes out the top. And that would be typical, but it's not unheard of. And this is where I almost don't speak on it because I don't know all the stuff about the ammunition, but I do know that the people who were teaching me did talk about that it can explode upon impact, and it could be for this instance, it could be from the top, but I don't know how that works, like with all the different ammo and stuff. And this was technically birdshot, right? So I don't, I don't know. I have no idea how that plays into it or anything, but I can say that I was told in my criminology classes that this is not common, but does happen. And this is also something that I had looked at back, and ironic that we were talking about JFK, is one of the reasons that everybody does believe the shot had to come from the front was because the back of his head was gone, right?
Right, it was.
To the front and to the back, right?
It was. Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying, I do know that it's not unheard of, but I don't know how ammo plays into it.
Well, Caroline, I think it depends on who they hire.
They all pay about the same.
I think that whoever it is that gets the job, I think let's say that the state hired this gentleman to consult, right? His rate is his rate. So they would have been paying either way. You know what I'm saying? His rate is his rate.
Right.
Yes, Karen, I think that's the thing, is that he would have, yes. Right. And I will say this. So I saw up earlier about somebody saying or asking, why wouldn't they pick up all of it? So typically, obviously, that's ideal, right? You would want all of everything picked up. And is it indicative to, at, like as sled being sloppy? You could perceive it that way. I will say this. When they were out there, it had started to drizzle. They were trying to get the body, both of them, back to, out of the way and, of the elements as quickly as possible. And unfortunately, they live in BFE and that took a minute. And I think that it's likely that stuff, unfortunately, and this is sad, got missed. And I hate that it happened, and I hate that a family member had to see it, and it's terrible, and it shouldn't have happened.
Right.
But it
It's
did,
really,
and
they should have been allowed to go down there at that point.
I
I
agree.
think is the bigger part. But Christine and I talked to those crime scene cleaners who dealt with things like this, and they've talked about some of the stuff that's left behind.
Mhm.
That's not technically evidence. They're not recreating the skull or the brain necessarily, so it is kind of the matter that's left behind. I'm
Yeah.
more concerned of why there's no talk of what was found on the sheets or the clothes, or and we watched that like in Watts, like what over and over again, how many times they how many different sheets they had, and
Mhm.
why wasn't any of that stuff looked at?
Yeah, I don't know. But it wasn't looked at by anybody, and the stuff is still
Nope.
there. I don't know. This whole thing is kind of weird to me. Okay. So now I'm going to hopefully see how this is going. I'm going to let this load a little bit longer. Because the next expert, let me see. It says a blood spatter expert and crime scene reconstructionist took the stand in Alec Murdaugh's trial and offered crucial testimony related to the murders of Maggie and Paul. Timothy Palmbach testified that his analysis pointed to the likelihood that two shooters unalived the disgraced lawyer's wife and son. I love how Law and Crime always writes that about Alec Murdaugh, that he's a disgraced lawyer.
I know.
It's like it's part of his name. Alec Murdaugh, disgraced lawyer.
Disgraced lawyer is now his new middle name.
Right, like Olivia, Chicky Nike Pot Pie Esquire. Alex Murdaugh, disgraced lawyer. All right, let me see if it's pretty good loaded, so it should be all right. We should be okay. Let me pause it though so we can share the screen. Hopefully it will work.
Okay, so who do you guys think that the rebuttal witnesses are? I think it's going to be the one I think we know for sure is the one we were talking about. What was it? I think his name's Kinsley, right?
Yeah.
The last name's Kinsley.
No.
That's the forensic guy.
Yes, Dr. Kinsley. Yes.
Who he said 4 maybe 5.
Right.
Who else is he going to put up there?
Oh shit. Who's Lindsay Edwards, Erica?
That's what I was just wondering.
Let me see. Yeah, Jeannie does like saying fake forge. Fake forge.
Yeah, fake forge. Fake forge.
Who I need to know who Lindsay Edwards is. Okay, let me think now. Probably
Is this the sex worker?
Oh, yeah, it is.
Well,
I don't know that
I don't think she's going to.
Yeah, I don't think that you can call witnesses in the rebuttal that you haven't called in the case in chief. Can you? I forget how that goes.
I think it's different by state. I don't know, but you can call witnesses that as long as they're the only thing you have to be.
That's right. They're limited.
Anybody that's going to show that the defense is wrong is all it is. So they can.
So they can call. Oh, okay. But I don't think that I don't think they will call her.
Yeah, well, no, because she's going to end up having to plead the fifth.
Correct.
Unless for some unknown reason to me that prostitution
It would.
is legal in
Amber
South Carolina.
Riot got it. Look at this. It'd be interesting to see Connor Cook called to rebut Alex's testimony about intimidation. You know who else? You know who? It would be interesting if they called Connor and Anthony to testify with respect to SLED, looking into them, as because what's interesting is there's a whole dichotomy coming out, and it's actually coming from the defense, and they're saying both things at the same time. They're sort of saying that they are pointing out that Alec got preferential treatment while simultaneously saying Alec was scared of SLED and they fuck shit up. They're saying all these things at once.
A lot of people thought they might put Morgan up there. I don't think that she's not worth it to me.
I think
because it's the wrong case.
Right.
It's not. I just don't think that's worth it. It would be a waste of a testimony, in my opinion.
I don't know if the prosecution's forensic pathologist is coming back. She might be.
I hope not.
I liked her. You didn't like her?
The pathologist, the weird lady?
Yes.
Oh no, I did not like her at all.
Oh, I thought she connected very well with, I'll tell you what, when that forensic, I almost forgot about this part. So when the defense's forensic expert was testifying, he was looking at a photograph, and I believe he was looking at a photograph of Maggie, and he said these words: "What we have here is a beautiful example of whatever the fuck it was he was trying to prove." And then he caught himself saying beautiful. And it did not offend me because I knew what he meant, right?
Yeah.
But I'm curious as to how the jury will take it, especially because he corrected and apologized. Maybe it'll be, because listen, I feel like there's times when I watch YouTube, right? All the time. I mean, not all the time. Or sometimes I watch YouTube. I watch YouTube all the time and watch a lot of YouTube. And what I noticed about YouTube is this: if somebody says something that someone doesn't like, it does not matter what the next hour and a half that comes out of that person's mouth. People make their minds up very, very quickly. And if, and sometimes it can be like that. So I'm very curious if the if there will be jurors who will have heard him say, "This is a beautiful example," and right then just be like, I don't want to hear it no more.
It's true, but that's how I feel about the lady doc. Somebody said that she was almost too giddy and that she was a bit eccentric, is the politically correct term. But she rubbed me really wrong. She was like excited to be telling them about these things, and she just came across odd to me. I did not like her. I liked the guy that they had after, the one that I think that they're going to call. Right. The Kinsey guy. I liked him.
I think if they, I can't, who else would they put up? Maybe, I
was wondering if they're going to put Randy up.
Oh God. Now listen, I know that everybody, this is another thing I want to talk about too. Now, Law and Crime has really stepped up their game with their multiple camera angles and splitting, and even sometimes there's 3 screens. Like they've really they're on the come up over here. But
they're on the come up.
They're on the come up. They're getting fancy with it. So when there's really interesting or emotionally charged testimony, right, or something they think is going to elicit emotion, they will pan over to the gallery. And it's most always, in fact, it is 99.9% of the time, they pan to the people sitting behind Alec Murdaugh because his family is sitting there.
Right.
And today, while Alec was having a whole ass meltdown, which listen, I know that, but that's what it was. Okay. He's having a whole ass meltdown in the chair there at the defendant's table. Buster had a blank, almost bored expression on his face. Like his face was almost, it was just blank. I don't know how else to explain it. I don't know. Well, and 5, 6, 7, 8, they put Ball up, and he's still part of the new firm, and they put him up.
Mark Ball, yeah, they did.
Yeah, Mark Ball.
And the other guy, I don't remember his name. I always want to call him Lee Cope, but I know it's not him.
No,
it's the other partner.
Crosby, Richard Crosby.
That's who it is.
Mm-hmm.
I was only thinking Randy because of you've got, and the defense was good at the fact that they put John Marvin up at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And so would they put Randy up because Randy doesn't talk to Alec anymore and they have their, they have their whole history. Would they put him up to kind of take off like what John Marvin did?
Maybe, because I mean, they're going to ask him, are you suing your brother? Did John, you know how Waters is going to be,
right? Well, and it was interesting. Waters didn't do anything today.
No, he didn't. Nothing. But I think that's because he's preparing for the rebuttal, and I think he's also paying. If you're doing the questioning, you can't possibly watch the jury. So, like, even when the defense is on direct, right? If Waters is going to be the one who does the cross, he has to pay attention to the testimony that's being given, the questions that are asked, and the answers in preparation for cross-examination. So you can't really watch the jury. And I think that's what he was doing today. I think he wanted to take a step back and actually just watch the trial to get the overall
well, yeah, because he's going to present the closing. So I think that, yeah, I agree with you. He wants to get a sense of where everything is. So
he's taking the temperature of the room. And then, y'all, if this were to happen, if Waters says, Your Honor, at this time, the state calls Jim Griffin, wouldn't that be something? Can you imagine? I mean, he did witness shit. He is an actual witness, though. That's what's so messed up. He's a witness.
But he's his attorney, so I mean.
But he is, so now we can't.
Attorney-client privilege, so they're not going to get anything. It would be a waste.
Of course not. But can you?
But it
imagine?
would be very interesting to hear.
I just would love to see the look on Jim's face when he gets called. I don't even care what he has to say. And Harpootlian's going to give him the stank face.
It would be like, hold on one second. I object, Yana. All right, so I have to hop off soon to go cook dinner. Okay. But before I go, can we talk? I want to talk about the raincoat and what John Marvin said that Sled told him where the raincoat came from.
Right.
You're probably going to get to that when you start going through everything, but I want to make sure that I want to know what you think of that.
I don't think it's that big of a deal.
That they told him it came from somewhere else?
Yes.
Why not?
Because law enforcement is allowed to lie. And the fact of the matter is, I think that they recognized, bless it, John Marvin. I think they were worried about if they were going to tell John Marvin stuff that he would run back and tell Alec. And I think that's why they lied about the things that they had and where they found things, because I don't think that they wanted John Marvin to, give his brother a heads up. You cannot mess with familial bonds. This is not a family that was not close. They were close. So, if John Marvin was going to flip on Alec at any point, he would have flipped on him long before, in the beginning. And he didn't. He stayed loyal. He was he was moving money around, not money, selling shit for Alec, all the things. He was still right in there. And I'm not judging him for it, but I'm telling you how law enforcement looks at it. And if I were law enforcement and I would, and if it were me, I would be like, let's float lies and see what comes back. I would absolutely do that.
To
I would
say,
do it.
okay, so to your point then, what would the benefit be to lie to John Marvin about finding the raincoat out on the property versus finding it in a closet?
Because they don't need to, he doesn't need to know all of the details.
But why tell him where they found it at all?
I mean, to say that they found it, maybe they want, because they were going to have him identify it. Let's be honest. That was going to be necessary. It was found on the property and they needed him to say whether he had seen it ever before or not. But what they didn't want to do is tell him where they found it. What if maybe the reason they didn't tell him is because they were concerned that there might be more evidence and they weren't done looking. And they didn't want John Marvin, helping in any way by, giving Alec a heads up as to what they discussed, and then Alec being, squirrely like he is and doing something. I don't think that it's that big of a deal. If they had lied on the search warrant and documented it as wrong, that would be a bigger deal to me than lying to their suspect's brother. I just don't even think it's that big of a deal. I don't think I understand. I think they were smart to lie to him, to be honest. They don't they don't have to be honest.
But I totally understand that. My thought is, now that that's been brought out in front of the jury, they're going to have to fix it. And the prosecutor did not fix that today, that they are allowed to lie. They did not say that. What the jury heard was Sled said they found it here and then reported they found it somewhere else.
I think that he's going to fix it on rebuttal. I think that he might actually have David Owen on
now.
That.
It's like, where did they really find it? Where was it? Did it actually come from somewhere else and it was never in this closet? Because not one person in this whole family's ever seen this raincoat.
Well, just like just like law enforcement's allowed to lie, humans are allowed to lie too. They don't have to say that they've ever seen it before, ever.
But here's the thing. Alec Murdaugh lies and he's a murderer.
No, Alec, no.
Not you. Not to you.
Okay.
Not to you. But the consensus is, yeah, he lied about being at the kennel. It means he killed him. Just saying.
I think that they'll probably have David Owen up there to clear it up.
That's exactly where I was going with that. Does David Owen come back to talk about the conversations between him and Alec and how he did not feel that Alec was nervous or had a distrust for him?
I think that they have to.
I'm getting the side eye because I'm supposed to be going to cook sides while my husband's barbecuing.
Ooh, what are you making?
He's barbecuing chicken on the smoker, and I'm just making like the sides.
Yeah, what is your sides?
Stuffing, green beans, white noodles.
Like stovetop stuffing?
Oh yeah, turkey stovetop stuffing.
Oh,
my favorite. I can't do chicken.
That's my neither can I. Only like the turkey kind. And I don't like the cornbread kind. I like the original.
Yeah, it's good. The original.
Even though I'm from the South, I don't like the cornbread. It's too mushy.
No, it's good stuff. But see, the kids don't like the stuffing, so I make them the white noodles, and then I make my husband and I the stuffing.
Can I have dinner at your house?
Hell yeah, come on over.
Okay, you all Skittles?
I won't. I'll have Kaylee separate them for you before you come. All right, thank you for letting me come up and hang out with you even for a hot minute. I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna listen, so I'll probably be typing in chat and stuff while I'm cooking.
All right.
I'll talk to you guys later.
All right.
Bye.
Love you.
Love ya.
Bye. Bye. I think, Charlie, that I honestly think that law enforcement might have been just a little bit shocked at that they were doing that and that they had the balls to do it. And it didn't last very long. They went ahead and got like a whole injunction and froze all the assets and stuff like that before they could really do any damage, or really hide anything big. But yeah, I mean, look, I just don't think it's the only thing that I would think would be a big deal. I would be side-eyeing it if on their paperwork it's documented that it was found in one place and photographed in another. If there was a discrepancy in the paperwork, then I would be like, what you doing? But yeah, no, just for him to lie to John Marvin, frankly, no, I don't actually feel bad about that. Hold on, I changed my mind. There's something, speaking of John Marvin, because I want to kind of cut this short, because Brittany and Mallory are going live at 9:45, I believe, to talk about Murdaugh, and I kind of want to be over there to watch. So let me just check something really, really quick. Now, I will say this. I think everybody in the courtroom, Alec included, was uncomfortable when John Marvin testified about the fact that Alec had an accident in the car on the way home from or on the way from detox to the rehab or whatever it was, or maybe the other way, on the way to detox. I can't remember, but listen, I think we all have learned a story. You can't trust a fart and you cannot trust Alec Murdaugh. There you go. But bum. So I think this is probably a good stopping point, because if I start something else, then I'm going to talk forever and ever and ever. And I want to watch that. And there's a ton of other good lives going on too tonight. Kate Does Crime is doing a live on the history of the Moselle property. And I think that's going to be interesting to hear. And I want to watch that too. And let's see. It was very random, ATS. Like, it was sort of it feels like it was like, I don't want to like come across as like I'm too much on my brother's side, so here, let me give you a little bit of dirt on him, you know? And that's why he did it. I don't know. I have she just started, and I haven't had an opportunity to go over there and listen to it yet. But let's see. Let me put in Kate and Brittany's links. Give me just 1 second. Hold on. All right. Oh, hell, I'm not even in my own live. Hold on a second. Let me find my channel. All right. All right, so here's Kate. All right. And then let me get you Brittany J's link. All right. Because both of those channels are excellent, and they're doing an excellent job covering the Murdaugh. But I will be back tomorrow night. We'll talk about the rebuttals and I'll go over more of what we'll go over more in depth John Marvin's testimony, and did it help or did it hurt? I do think that him telling the story of being out at the kennels and cleaning up the scene, and he just, couldn't make himself stop. It was like the last thing that he could do for his nephew, Paul. I do feel that that was 100% genuine. I think that I believed him when he said that he and Paul had a close relationship. I have 2 nephews, and there's nothing in the world that I would not do for them. And I felt his pain when he testified about finding Paul and Maggie that way. But you know, I could tell that he was genuinely close to Paul, and and they had a close uh, relationship. And I don't know how to explain it. Maybe it's because I have oh, no worries, LFT. Maybe it's because I have nephews, and maybe I could see a little of the way I feel about my boys. Um, it come through in his talking, you know, when he was in his testimony, when he was talking about their relationship. I don't know. I think there's something. Maybe I don't know. I guess if you maybe other people, you know, if you have nephews that you're close to, maybe it's like something that you can see in somebody else who also has nephews that they're close to. I don't know how to explain it. It's not really, I can't really uh, describe it accurately. Clearly, I'm struggling with the words, but I do feel that he was completely genuine. And I have felt from the very beginning that John Marvin was deeply affected by the loss of Maggie and Paul. And his, you know, and that I think he identified with Paul in that he is also considered like the black sheep of his family. All the guys were lawyers, and I'm done with you, CB Cal. Yeah, my nephews are like my own. I don't, you know, like legally on paper I have to identify them as my nephews, but I don't feel like that, especially um my oldest nephew, because we look alike. We both look like my dad. And so, you know, he looks like me and I look like him. And, you know, we also have a lot of other traits in common. You know, we think alike about a lot of stuff. We like the same kind of shows, you know, that kind of thing. But anyway, so it came across very genuine. And I've always thought that, you know, he identified with Paul because they were both the black sheeps of their family. I don't think that I think Paul was going to hopefully, um, you know, he probably would have had to do some time for the boat accident, and rightly so. He did the crime, he should pay, you know. But I think after he did his time, I think that I would be hopeful that it would change him, that he would learn his lesson and he would find what it is that he's supposed to be doing. But John Marvin, you know, didn't go into practicing law like his brothers and his father and grandfather. So I think they had, like, you know, a little kinship in that. You know what I'm saying? Because they were sort of the black sheep of their family. I didn't like that either. I agree with that, Karen. I did not. Um, I didn't like that either. I thought that was in very poor taste, very poor taste. But thank you, everyone, for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you, mods. Thank you, chatters. Welcome to the new members. Glad to have you. If you haven't done so already, give your girl a thumbs up. I'd greatly appreciate it. It gets me in the algorithm, gets your notifications, all those things. And I will be back. Yes, Caroline, he deserved a chance. You know, should have been, whatever the jury found was whatever they were going to find. But he deserved a chance. His crime that he committed uh, did not carry a sentence of death. So you guys have a great night. I put the channels I put the links to the channels in the chat. Both channels are wonderful. They've got great content. So there you go. And I will see all of you guys later. All right. Bye. Good night.